So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm going to do a quick book flick. I bought this quite a while ago. It's a really thick book from the works, excuse me, which we have in the UK, and it's quite thin paper. So if you did pencil or pastel work, you'd be quite okay. I'm going to play with gouache quite dry, but I thought I'd do a quick book flick first because it's a huge book, and it did say that it was £9.99. But it was obviously the works. They have some fantastic books. Excuse me, and it's by the Arcturus, which is the. I've got another couple of books. I've got the nature one and the fairies. The nature one, the colour book, and the fairies one. They're by the same Arcturus, I think it's pronounced. Apologies if I've got that wrong. But they're beautiful books. I've done a little bit of, but they're thinner pages. But I'm going to have a go with gouache because I think I'm going to have play with gouache in here and in this one as well. So that's on my to-do list. But I thought I'd do a quick colour book flip. So it's called the Beauties of Nature colouring book. 120 stunning pictures with full colour guides. So again, absolutely beautiful colours. If I should just pan in one. Sorry guys, but as Dee Dee says, it's a strange one, is that? So we've got list of plates, and that's quite nice. You can, if you want to do birds or fishes or butterflies. So you've got a colour guide there, so you can go through, and they're all named as well. So the Harlequin flower is named after the rabbit, but we call her Bambi. Oh, there is a flamingo in there, so we need to hide that. Little flamingos. Who doesn't like flamingos? So they're all kind of names. So we've got caterpillars, we've got birds, lots of nature. So there's some gorgeous things. I would think most of them are the UK. I would think, guessing, looking. I love the Morning Glory. That's on my plant pot round the corner, which I'll be using tomorrow. I would pretty sure. So there's some fantastic. And can you see the droplet of water on the petal there? There's a droplet of water. So again, that's going to be quite good. There's two. I think there's another one there. So again, that's going to be. Oh, sorry, my lamp. I've got a daylight lamp, so it's not happy. So apologies for the light, but my other light has died a death. I might just take that one off. That might be better. No, we've got a reflection of that one now. Hopefully that might be better. Is that better lighting? Hopefully. So it's quite thin paper, but I'm going to have a go at the back page with gouache. And what I was saying was, if you wanted to use something that you know is going to go through, you can work backwards, and that's what I'm going to do in this book. So if I want to do this page, I've got to make sure that I've done this page first, because it will destroy this. But I'll explain that when I get to the end. So love these butterflies. And I sometimes like the cream backgrounds as well, but I'm not sure what's going to happen because I know I can't probably gouache all that. But that's why I use the pastels, because the pastels are quite good because you can get a really nice background effect and you're not touching your page at all. That looks like a peony. I think that's a peony. I used to know all my flowers and birds, but they don't look particularly British, those, but very pretty. Oh, the dreaded fish. That's fantastic colours in there. So, love this book. Absolutely love this book. So again, the watercolour effect is going to be fantastic. But I think I'm going to use gouache because I can use it quite kind of thin. Oh, Dorothy says the crown imperials. Is that a bird or is that a plant? Excuse my it's the plant. Excuse my ignorance. Yes, absolutely beautiful. I like the water droplet as well. That's going to be quite good. Obviously that's the poppy. And the subtle colours, they're not kind of in your face colours. The ones I really like, they're kind of muted a little bit. They're bright, but they're muted, if that makes sense. Absolutely gorgeous colours. So I'm going to try and match the colours. These three books that are kind of nature ones, and they're what I call vintage, I'm going to try to match because I really like them. Um, we call this a snapdragon, but I think there's a proper name for them. Again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the background because some of the background is drawn and some of the background isn't. So we've kind of got like this Venetian urn at the back and it isn't at this side. So again, this is why my drawing pen comes in handy, because I can use my rotary pen. Now it may go through, it may not, it may go through, but it will be a fine liner and it will be waterproof. And I do love my rotary isographs. I haven't tried the other one, but the rotary isographs are normally quite good. So I do love them, and I've never had much of a problem with them. Well, I've never had any problem, apart from one. And I've actually washed it out, and I've made it too loose, so it blobs. But I've got about 30, and I've got 2 sets for my daughters. And I've been using them since 1979. Oops. So I've been using them a long time. I've been using them a long time. So this is a fab book. So that's if you wanted to carry on. And that's what I did in the Joanna Basford, the Christmas book. If you want to... I love this, but and I've actually bought it again. I found it in the range for $5.99, I think. So I bought it again because I hadn't really thought about it, and I kind of used it as a practice, which was a bit wrong really. So I found it. So as you see, this one I think there's just the bunny, and so I traced, because my drawings are completely different. I tried to do it, but my style is completely different, so I could not match the drawings and it looked silly. So I traced and reversed things. So there I have traced all of the designs from different pages, and you could do it from different books if you had different plants, and then I've pinched them and reversed them. So that filled out the page, because I love the pages and I don't do backgrounds, so I wanted to fill the backgrounds. This one I'm going to kind of fill the page as well. That was the pastel. This one I filled the page, and again this one I tried to draw myself and made a boo-boo. This is drawn and it's pants, absolute pants. So I should have drawn that, traced it and reversed it, but I filled the page and it's all original, her original drawings, because I've just traced them, and I put some sparkles. And this pen matched identical to the size of line drawing that was already there, and it was my 0.25. And literally it was done, and I went straight on to it. It dries almost instantly, and it does not smudge at all. I think that's Inktense. I can't remember what that one is. So if you want to kind of do that, I did the same with this one. And of course, very, very soft. All this is my line drawing that I've traced over Joanna's. But that line drawing is that pen, which is, it matches almost exactly the original. And there's another one that I did as well. This one I traced hers, and it's the same pen. So I probably might do that on the back of here. Is continue the foliage to do that, because I like that idea. So you can do all sorts with colour books. You don't just have to colour them in. Oh, we have another fish. Again, I think the fish is just sitting there doing next to nothing, so maybe something else. I might fail with that. If I do fail with the water, with the gouache, I will be using probably pastel pencils or pastels. And then I can get that lovely soft cream background. But you see, there's nothing wrong with tracing that, reversing it, and sticking it coming out of there somewhere, or down behind there. And reversing that one, and putting it here, or reversing that one, and putting it here. In fact, I might do that actually. And then I don't have to bother with the backgrounds. Same with the butterfly. You know, you can trace it, reverse it, and stick it on the leaf there. This is called Harlequin. I only remember because that's what these brown spots, I would think, is because it's a very old drawing and it's aged spots, and I think that's because it's very old. But the colours on there are beautiful. But I would be tempted to trace those, reverse them, and fill the page, and then not have a background, because really I don't like backgrounds. You know, that's going to be just that. Those colours say everything. It's just that I don't like spaces. I like to. Some of them obviously I'm not going to do, but some I might do. Hi Kingo, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm having a book flick through my Beauties of Nature colouring book. It's a little bit thin pages, but I'm hoping to use gouache if I'm very careful. But I have a plan. But there's the most amazing plants in there. Oops, flamingo. Again, I would be quite tempted maybe to take that, trace it, reverse it, and have another one. So I'm filling the page. Not so much with the birds, but definitely the plants. That one's kind of okay on its own. But it depends if you want to put a background in. I might even try and just put a pastel, just to put a pastel background. Some more fishies. Most of them actually just stand alone. Some fantastic colours. I can't wait to see the there's a woodpecker at the beginning. Now that, I don't think that's one of our birds. Sorry, I just sneezed and my headset fell off. That was quite funny. Sorry. I think that looks like no, yes, it's gone. Oh, it's a northern bullfinch. Well, there you go. I didn't know that. That's a beautiful colour. We don't have it this northern. Alfie, come here, please. Alfie. Oh, excuse me, I've got to keep an eye on him. Alfie. Thank you. Under there. Good boy. He's been quite good today, but he's just a bit barky. No change there then. So I think they need a little bit of that colour, just kind of changes the colour. Backgrounds always change things, so might have to have a bit of a artistic license with this one. But if in doubt, I can use a pastel to give just a subtle bit of colour, because I don't think it's going to take much water. Definitely can't watercolour on it. I can't rub it. Oops, I don't know what he's doing under there. Rearranging the furniture. Convolvulus, love that. It's on my plant pot. Again, that's got all age spots on it. So there's going to be some quite good colour mixing, colour matching on here. It has 120 pages, so definitely worth your money. So if you're using pencil, you would be fine. Pastel pencils would be fine. A gorgeous purples and yellows. And remember what we said about the rule of three. The rule of three doesn't put yellow and purple together, but we can break rules, you see. Especially in nature. You should always look at nature for colours. You see, red and green, I always like the rose reds and the greens, because I always look, when I need some inspiration for colour, always look at a colour, a rose seed catalogue or plant catalogue, because the pinks and the greens and the reds and the greens change. So a tea rose can have a really dark, cold red, bright orangey red, and it will have a bright green, a deep green, a dark green. And you can have a pink, and the pink rose will have a minty viridian coloured leaf. So that rose may not look as good if it was on a kind of that coloured, well, that's the right colour. I haven't got anything kind of green, a dark green. It might not look as good, but put it with a different green and it looks so much different. And I always am impressed by nature with flowers, with what different green nature puts next to it. And it normally stands out very well with roses especially. So everybody began looking at roses now and looking at the leaves. Look at those gorgeous blues and greens, soft greens. So this is definitely not for the bold poppy ones which we did. You see there's a dark purple, a pale pinky red, and then a purpley red in there. I mean, you don't have to do them these colours, you can do them whatever colours you want. To coin a phrase, you are the boss of your colour book. So we should be coming to the last one, which is this one. So I've squished this down. So I want to use my gouache. And if you wanted to use markers, gouache, your page will crinkle if you use a lot of water. But markers, felt pens, I would suggest putting a few sheets of paper at the back. And what you can do is work backwards. So we want to colour this, and we want to use markers, which is going to completely wreck that page at the back. It's going to go through. But I'm going to have a nice coloured page that I've created on this side. But I do want my guide, I've forgotten the word again. They call it a colour guide, but I call it it's gone. But if you want to match the colours up, your subject matter, but it's another word for it, so apologies, brain's gone. So I can use this as my guide for the colours, and then I can finish this page, and then I can go over and I can colour this one in markers or anything that's going to go through. And it won't matter because I've already used that for this one. I've already used it. So if that disappears, I'm not going to go, oh dear, I don't have a colour guide. So if you want to destroy the back of your page and it wants to go through, you need to work backwards. Does that make sense? So you need to work backwards. So again, you could do your bright yellows and you could kind of go through the page. Again, what you would have to do is to put your paper between each layer, because it will go through 2 layers and damage your nice painting or your nice colouring. So but as long as you did that and worked backwards, you would have your guide and you would have your page. And of course, typically I want to do this one. And there's a couple of lovely water droplets on the petals there. But I'm a little bit worried that my gouache will go through. So as a test, I'm going to do the back. Now this may not work. This may not work. I'm not bothered about that going through. It probably won't, but so I'm not really bothered about that one. Because I'm using a damp brush. But I'm going to work backwards anyway. So they've drawn the leaves in, but they haven't coloured them in. If you've got any questions. So by the side of me, oopsie, let me get rid of that. That's probably why it's banging up the system. I've got my gouache, and I've got these colours for my dragon that I'm doing in gouache. So I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to use the other side, so that I can still use my gouache from here. This is my dried yucky gouache, but it's only student grade. I don't think I'm using this one. I actually did, and I forgot, and I did give my daughter this. She said, "Oh, don't give me anything nice." And I said, "I've given you this designer set, and I've bought a new set." But as I say, she needs to start now at 19 using professional things. And again, that's why I have no qualms about buying them, because I can pass them on. I'm just looking at these to see if I've actually got these in here. I don't think I have. I don't think I have this. And again, of course, it's a good set because it has a lemon yellow and it has another yellow, like a cad yellow. It isn't a cad yellow, it's a bit deeper. There's a primary blue, which is a pale blue, cold blue, and then there's ultramarine. There's a yellow ochre, a black and a white, a spectrum red, and a primary red. So you've got like a pinky red and a reddy red. And then there's a permanent green. So it's a fairly decent all-round set. But for playing, I've got this set, which is my daughter's, that I bought for uni. Just a cheapy set. I'm just wondering if I'd get more pigment in the other ones, but this has gone quite well. It's gone on the Kirby Roseanne page quite okay. I do love that kind of minty green, and I know how to get that. In fact, I think I'm going to actually I think I'm going to use these. I think I'm going to use these since I've got them out, and I like this book. Now in my, actually I'm not, I tell a lie, I'm not going to use these because I've given those to my daughter. So if I just, and I think I want some kitchen roll. And this was my gouache. I think this was my gouache. Was it gouache? So my gouache will be going in my little book of colours as well. So I've got little baskets everywhere, including the one under the table. So in this set, which is a very good set, but I would probably make some slight changes here. If you see them on the shelves all kind of queued up like they are from your yellows, and they're all kind of swinging, and you can get them individually, I would get French ultramarine, cerulean blue. I would get, now I got a flame red, so that's the pinky red. This one is actually red, primary red, but it's a pinky red. The spectrum red wasn't cold enough for me, so I've got flame red because tight Yorkshire lass. This is series 1. I think series 2 is more expensive. The cerulean I did get, but they didn't have, maybe they didn't have any cadmium red, but that was the nearest I could get to cadmium red. Now they've got a primary yellow, and I didn't like the primary yellow, so I bought, they've got a permanent yellow, which is a little bit warmer actually. So basically in between those two is cadmium yellow, but it's a bit warmer, but it doesn't really matter too much. But I've got my lemon yellow. Now they do have a permanent green, so you can't beat a green if you really need one. And we obviously need white. Now the zinc white is mixing white. There's the yellow ochre. And I bought a large permanent white. So the permanent white is for highlights. So that's for highlights. Your zinc white is for mixing. So if you think, oh, I might like to try gouache, it sounds fun, you can use your ordinary watercolours, whether you've got them in a tube, and you can buy a tube of zinc white and put a little bit of this in with this, not in tube, but when you're squeezing it out, just put a little bit, add a little bit of white paint to this, and it will make it opaque. It will change the colour slightly, but it will make it opaque, and it will make it into a pretend gouache. So that means rather than spending money on them, you could play with one tube and have a play with your colours, with your watercolours. And then if you like the effect, then you could then buy a set. And then if you didn't like the effect, you haven't spent a fortune on something you're not going to use. And as I say, I wouldn't bother with black really, because if you put French ultramarine with where's my cold red, with my cold red and my bright yellow, you will get a very dark black. If you put slightly more blue in it, you'll get a blue black. If you put slightly more red in it, you get a red black. And if you put slightly more yellow in it, you get a green black. And that's why the Graphitones tints, I always kept saying, why haven't we got more yellows? Because you can't really get a yellow black, and that's a tint of pencil. But it took me a long time to work that out. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to have a look at the time, see how we are for time. So I'm going to come back and go through my colours, and then we'll do some colouring in. I just think I might finish that particular video on a colour flip of this book. So thank you for watching.